I've been doing photography for about almost 8 years now. When I first got into photography was around 2012, and I just started taking photos on my phone. At that time, Instagram had like almost just barely been out, and like everyone was on it. I was like, okay, I want to try to do that. Now, fast forward about 8 years later, I've been doing photography for about these last 2 years as like a freelancer. It's my business. I have a small production company, and I've been, it's fruitful. But after these 8 long years, if I could somehow go back in time and tell myself some tips of advice, like these would be the things that I would tell myself. Now, these are things that I wish I knew before starting photography. First of all, guys, the very main obvious one that I wish I knew: having a full frame camera does not make you a good photographer. I know at this point you might be wondering, like, obviously it doesn't matter what camera you use, but when I first started off, I thought that was the only thing that mattered in the world. The first camera that I actually bought was a Canon T3i, and that comes with the crop sensor. So like everyone else, I started using my kit lens, and from then on, I was like, you know what? I need a better lens. So I got a 50mm 1.8. I started thinking like, oh my God, the only way I can get better photos is just by getting a full frame camera. Like, that's obviously the next step, because I saw my images get so much better from going from a kit lens to a 50mm. And then I was like, okay, obviously if I get a full frame, bam, insta famous. That was like the only thing I strived for when I was like starting in photography. I was like, dude, I want to be insta famous, and that's it. Instead of spending all that time wishing to have a full frame camera, what I could have done is just better myself into becoming a better photographer and just taking better shots in general. At the end of the day, if you can take a good shot, it doesn't matter what camera is in your hand, you're gonna get a good shot. And this next point, I think, really just has to do with the fact that it's kind of almost ingrained in all of us that if you want to be someone, go to school. If you want to learn a career, go to school. And then from there on, you're gonna have a student loan. You're not gonna pay that off. And you're gonna work at Chick-fil-A because you're not gonna get a job in which you graduate. Point is, guys, I really thought that in order for me to be an actual photographer, I had to go to school and study photography. So I took the necessary steps, and then I went to my local community college, and I was like, yo, sign me up for photography classes. But then once I was taking the class, I realized that I knew everything. Like, everything that was gonna come up the whole semester, I was like, dude, I know this. This is literally all the stuff that I've learned off YouTube, and I didn't spend a dime on that at all. Now, I know there are probably certain types of photography careers you can take. I don't know. I don't even know where you need a degree, but I know that maybe in some more corporate structure type of situations, they might require to see certain type of degree. I mean, to each his own. At the end of the day, these are just things that I wish I knew, and then hopefully, somehow they can inform you. But I'm actually very grateful that I managed to go and learn this firsthand, that luckily for my career and my path that I wanted to take, this wasn't a step I had to take in order to get there. Okay, now we're getting into the little bit more of the embarrassing side of things. For the next thing that I wish I knew is that a great edit won't save a bad photo. I used to have this mentality of like, okay, this picture is mediocre, but I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna edit it, and I'm just gonna make it a 10, even though it's technically a 6. It's like that saying goes, you can't put lipstick on a pig, it's still a freaking pig. And I noticed this is a mentality that I was guess I just using to cope with the fact that I wasn't a great photographer, mainly because I thought that I needed a full frame to be a great photographer. So it kind of all piggybacks on itself. I should have been focusing all my time to learning new techniques or new ways of how to improve my composition, because at the end of the day, as long as your photo is well composed, kind of the edit doesn't really matter. You can do like a really soft edit or a really heavy edit. It's just gonna add to the photos. It's a good photo, so there's really no way you can really mess it up with an edit. On the contrary, I was completely opposite of that. I was like, okay, the photo's okay, but I'm gonna give it my magic and it's gonna be way much better. But it wasn't. It's still a bad photo. This is my dog, Stewie. Yeah, he doesn't want me to film or edit or do anything. All right, say bye, dude. Yeah, go over there. Stewie, you're an incel. He brought me his toy. All right, dude, we'll play after I finish the video. Go over there. I guess he's gonna chill right here next to me. So following the topic of editing, another thing that I wish I knew, or I wish I did rather, was start editing with Lightroom. At the time when I started editing, I didn't have a computer, so I would just edit off my iPod Touch because I didn't even have a decent phone to edit with. At the time, there wasn't Lightroom Mobile. That's something that just happened not too long ago. So I guess that's kind of an excuse, but I mean, if you're starting off nowadays, Lightroom Mobile is it's free for the simplified version, but the pro version, it's only $10. Well, you get Lightroom actually, and then you get access to Lightroom Mobile. So $10, I mean, you can just skip out on a couple of, I don't know, McDonald's, and you can have enough money to pay for it. So I actually wish I had a computer at the time. That way I could have started editing with Lightroom, and that would at least have given me 3 more years of experience with the professional grade software. So if you have a computer, you have a laptop lying around, I really recommend for you to actually actually buy Lightroom. It shouldn't be an excuse at this point. It's super cheap. The next thing that I wish I knew is that to only shoot in RAW, never in JPEG. It's the big difference between RAW and JPEG is that RAW files are pretty massive and there's way more information crammed inside of there as far as like your colors, kind of what your camera sees. It captures more of the scene. And with JPEG, it's a super smaller file size, but it captures less detail on the photo you're taking. For example, this comes really handy when you're doing crazy edits or just, you know, trying to get back information when you're editing. Like if you lower your exposure, you can actually see details that weren't there in like the highlights of the photo. Or if you bring up your exposure, you'll see details that were there in the shadows. Now, if you try to do that with JPEG, you'll just get crap and everything looks like a Minecraft character. After I got my first camera, I think I only bought like a 16GB memory card, and it wasn't the fastest given I was only 16 and I couldn't really afford that much money. Like I saved up so much money just to get my DSLR with like a kit lens. I mean, at the time I was like, yeah, 16 gigs, that's a lot. Doing research, and I found out that RAW files were way bigger and JPEGs were way smaller. And I was like, okay, well, why am I gonna like cripple myself with so little photos? So I just decided to just shoot in JPEG because I was like, okay, I'm saving space. I didn't actually pay attention to the fact that, I mean, you know, RAW would have been literally thousands of times better. So all of my edits were literally just in JPEG for like the first 2 to 3 years of me actually having a DSLR and shooting with it. Luckily, I wasn't really doing any client work, so that kind of helped out because it would have been pretty crappy to give someone JPEGs. Oh yeah, I edit them as JPEGs and I give them to you as JPEGs, so these suck. Here, give me your money now. Now, this point I think is really important. Something that I wish I knew was that just shoot as often as you can. What I would do back then, I would shoot like once a week for like, I don't know, 2 hours using my great editing skills to make mediocre photos look amazing. I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to shoot more photos than this. At the end of the day, like that was very crippling because I wasn't practicing that photography muscle, you know, to become way better, you know, like make my power level over 9,000. It's like, I don't know what that saying is, but it's like if you practice or do something for 10,000 hours and you become a pro, well, I mean, at the rate I was doing it back then, I would never become a pro at all because I was only doing 2 hours a week instead of shooting as consistent as I could. And I had the time, which is something that I kind of beat myself over because I was like, okay, I had the time, but I didn't do anything useful with it. Yes, guys, so practice makes perfect. It is very cliche, but it is very true. The more you practice on doing something, the better you're gonna get at doing said thing. Now, the last thing I wish I knew, guys, is to organize myself and save all my old photos. I probably only have photos like of the last like 3 years. The rest of those 5 years, like I'm missing literally like anything. I don't have anything at all. Like some were from transferring from one computer to another computer. Some was just I was editing on my iPod Touch and I didn't save any of that onto my computer. So there was really no organization on my part to save these things. The excuse I like to tell myself is that I didn't really think I was gonna pursue this as a career. I was just doing it as a hobby, so I didn't really, you know, make too much of an importance of that. But now looking back, I wish I had saved literally every photo I ever edited. Yes, my old photos still do exist on my Instagram. I luckily do have a couple, but you know, if Instagram ever goes down, all those photos go away. So I really wish I would have saved my photos. That way I could have just seen my progress. Sometimes we get so focused on like, okay, I'm gonna shoot every day, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna get better, and then you just don't realize how far you've kind of already come. It might not be where you want to be, but it's not where you were when you started. So that is it for today's video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed what I wish I knew before I started my photography journey. Hopefully you take these into consideration and perhaps apply them into your own photography journey. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys hit that thumbs up button. That would mean the world to me. And also make sure to subscribe perhaps to see more videos coming soon, guys. I do try to upload at least twice a week to have some cool photography related content and sneak preview. You know, tune in for my workout session with this bad boy. Anyway, guys, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and yeah, I don't know, get out there and shoot, guys. All right, peace out. You guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys, hopefully, wow.